Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's September 12th. These are your headlines. We got a bunch of stubborn albies that just don't want to leave Nantucket Sound. We've got crazy bonito fishing across pretty much all of southern New England, and lots of reports of striped bass on the move this week. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first one comes to us from our YouTube page. It's just a little reminder that we've got a new video up this week, and it's a pretty good one. If you've been curious about the tuna bite south of Block Island, this one's for you. We're also going to be out on the North Coast 415 HT, which is a monster, which is an offshore beast. I mean, what a boat. So you guys can check that out. You're going to see what the action's like. You're going to get a tour of the boat. You're going to get some insights into how to get in on the bite. It's a really informative, really awesome video. So you can click the card in the top left, or you can hit the link down in the description, but you guys should definitely check that out. Next thing is the latest installment of Jenni Ackerman's Open Boat.
All right, it's the bottom of the 9th inning here for the 2024 fluke season, and I'm gonna give you guys some closeout season tips on who you should have in your starting lineup for bait options. Sometimes the artificials aren't working, especially towards the end of the season when the waters are getting a little bit colder, but that doesn't mean you can hang up the towel on the fluke season. Finish the season strong with these bait options. Starting off with an absolute home run of a bait, we have the peanut bunker. Now, a lot of the local lagoons are getting stacked up with peanut bunker right now as they make their way out to the front for the fall run, as we have a mix of bait that will migrate out there. So you can get peanut bunker by cast netting, either behind the bays or back in people's lagoons, or if your local tackle shop sells them, you're a lucky duck. So definitely grab some peanut bunker if and when you can, and that's a good option for doormat fluke towards the end of the season. Next up, we have a little bit of a curveball here that's gonna hit a home run, is the mullet, striped mullet specifically. Going back to the fluke bite on mullet, they are an excellent bait, and like I said, you can get them cast netting out front, or you can get them from your local tackle shops and use them. You can either use them whole or you can strip them. And late season fluke absolutely crush the mullet. Like Aaron Judge hitting a home run, these are an excellent bait option for you. And last but not least is one of my favorite baits to be caught, the good old spot or the Lafayette. This is definitely a base stealing bait. Now, the spot can be caught on a sabiki rig with a little Fish Bites bloodworm imitator, and you can triple up, you can double up, whatever. I like to cut my sabiki rig so I don't have to deal with that many hooks, but you can double up on spot and just have fun catching the spot on its own. But a lot of times in the late season when you're filleting a doormat fluke and you cut open its belly, you'll see spot in there. So take note, definitely give yourself a little pitch count before the season ends, so because you still have time to go out there and wipe your feet on a doormat. Now, I hope you guys have an excellent closeout to the 2024 fluke season. Definitely make it count. I know it hasn't been the best, but what's a finicky fluke bite without all the factors that go into it? So you gotta work hard, put your time in, make these last couple of weeks count, and wipe your feet on some doormats. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys on next week's Open Boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Save the date. Thursday, September 26th is the Fisherman Magazine's fishing show at the Hilton in Melville, Long Island. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the first 500 through the door get a bag full of fishing gear worth more than the $20 admission. Inshore, offshore, surf, we cover it all. Fishing seminars from the Sharpies. Great deals on tackle. a giant raffle. You don't want to miss out. Want to be an exhibitor? We still have a few tables available, but they're going fast. Contact the Fisherman at 631-345-5200 for more info. See you there.
Next thing I want to remind you guys about the fishing show that the Fisherman puts on out on Long Island every September. This one's going to be on the 26th, and we've got plug builders there. We've got all kinds of different vendors. We've got seminars galore from some of the best fishermen on Long Island and throughout New England. And the one that I really wanted to tell you guys about was a little roundtable discussion that I'm going to be a part of with Matt Broderick and the one and only Crazy Alberto Nee. We're going to have Jim Hutchinson sort of emceeing the event. He's going to get up there. He's going to ask us a bunch of questions. Some of them probably come from the audience. Some of them will come from readers. But basically the goal is, by the end of this thing, to sort of combine our collective knowledge to make you guys better fishermen. I'm excited about it, and I think I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to get up there, and I get a lot of questions I want to ask Alberto. So it should be a really cool time. You guys should definitely check it out. That's on the 26th at the Huntington Hilton in Huntington, New York, and it's an evening event. I think doors open at 5:30 and it goes till like 10 o'clock. And definitely go to our website, check out all the details on the show. It's definitely something you guys don't want to miss. Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing. It's been a really good one. We're seeing lots and lots of photos coming in of all different species, freshwater and saltwater, and it's looking like it's going to be a really good contest. We're going to give away a glide bait made by me in sort of a bunker color. I got a picture of it up here for you guys, and it is going to wrap up on Halloween. So you still have, still got the better part of 2 months to come up with that great photo. I'm going to look for a really well-composed photo of an angler holding his or her fish. It doesn't matter to me if it's freshwater, saltwater, caught locally, caught on vacation, doesn't matter. Just send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. We'll get you in the contest, we'll get you in the report, and we'll probably get you in the magazine too. Send them in and we'll see who wins. Moving over to the reports now. It seems like the fall run is fully underway. It might even be at like its peak up in Maine right now. The southern Maine rivers are just popping off with stripers. The beaches have been putting out good numbers of fish. We're seeing mixed sizes. We're seeing lots of bait. We're seeing lots of action. So if you're in the area or if you're from the area, definitely want to head to the beaches right now. You can do it from boat, kayak, or the beach, and the action has been red hot. Jumping down over the border now, let's check in first with James Jewkes.
How you doing, Dave? Well, just want to give a big shout out to the Narragansett Surfcasters down in Rhode Island. They had a blood drive with the Red Cross, and they did an unbelievable job. Had over 20 people there, collected 19 pints. The need is real. I know it's unfishing related, but it's a good catch on the Narragansett Surfcasters for putting that together. All right, we'll get right into the report here. Backside of that new moon was okay. Not gangbusters. Lots of bait. Macs are in tight. We've had shad up on the island. Tough to catch those guys. Lots of casts with smaller stuff. But they're out there. Along with bluefish. Bluefish have been in and out all over the place. The boat guys, the charter guys are crushing fish. Surf guys, not so much. Still got into them. Not heavy. The other night I had fish to 38 inches or so, something like that, but only a couple. I suspect once the fish start dumping out of some of the bays, which they're in the back there, I just don't fish out there much. They're a little smaller. Thank God we see some schoolies. But once those fish start moving out of their northern regions and rolling on by, things will pick up quite often, quite good. But it's the same over towards Gloucester and up into New Hampshire. People are getting fish. It's just putting in a lot of time for not a ton of fish. Or you find those small pods, you'll find a bunch of small fish. But other than that, everything's going. All right, Dave, that's about it from here.
Now let's head down to Boston Harbor and check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with the bite from Boston. This week we had some really good action. That topwater bite that I mentioned last week is still going on, but we seem to have a little better luck trolling the Boston Massacre rigs. Find those schools of pogies, troll them right along the edge, and they're just killing it right now. We're using the mackerel pattern with the 9-inch shad. That seems to be doing the best right now. There's probably an acre of pogies everywhere from in front of the fish pier going all the way out to Dare Island. Troll them along the edges of those pogie schools, and you'll meet success. In the afternoon, we're throwing live pogies. A lot of the outer islands are holding fish close to shore. Snag up some pogies. Throw a cast net, get your pogies, throw them on a hook, toss them as close as you can to the rocks, and 9 out of 10 times you'll get one. This is the fall run, guys. It's getting better and better every day. You can't catch them on the couch. Get out there, stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Now, some of the best fall run fishing we're seeing anywhere in our coverage area has been between Boston and the canal. This has been going on for a few weeks now. There's a lot of bait in the area. Now we're starting to see the herring fry leaving the run, which are really just sort of ramping things up to another level. A lot of big bluefish in the area. There's pretty much every size of striped bass is represented. The guys are doing it from the surf day and night. Guys are doing it from boats and kayaks. The bite's been off the hook. It's been mostly with plugs, which has been really cool. We're seeing some giant tuna moving in on some of the bunker schools at times. And I'm going to wager a guess that it won't be long before some bonito find their way up there too. There's so many bonito this year. They've already pushed through the canal a little bit, so keep your eyes open for them as well. But really great fall run activity in that region. Crossing the canal, as good as it's been on that side, it hasn't been so good on this side. A lot of bait in the area, just not a ton of fish this week. Whatever was there seems like it moved, maybe went through the canal. I know the canal had a good week last week, but whatever it was, a lot of that activity has slowed down. Fly guys are finding some fish on the flats. Some surf guys are getting them out of the estuaries and out of the inlets, but for the most part, it's just been on the slower side. There have been some bonito out there for the boat guys, and depending on who you talk to, the bite can be pretty good for those. But the activity gets a lot better when we round P-Town and sort of get onto the outer Cape. Hearing about a lot of good vertical jigging for stripers right now. Mixed sizes of fish from like 26 inches up to 40 inches. Probably a few bigger ones in the mix as well, but the action's been good. A very small number of bluefish in the mix there at times also. The tuna guys have been doing well jigging. Guys throwing soft plastic jigs have been doing pretty well on rec size fish. There's been some giant fish out there as well for the commercial guys. And then getting down toward Monomoy, the striped bass activity slowed down a little bit. We have seen some activity along the beaches with stripers and bluefish. We've seen some blitz activity. The night guys have been finding fish off of Nauset and places like that, throwing plugs. And there's also been some albies in the Chatham area, on and off. They've been coming in. Guys have actually been getting from the beach at times, but that's been sort of a hit or miss fishery. Monomoy itself has slowed down. There's been just the crazy amount of stripers that we were seeing there through the whole summer. A lot of those fish seem to have moved. Now they're just waiting for the next slug of fish to move in. There's been some albies and some bonito sort of pushing into the area, but right now it's on the slower side or just sort of in a transition period. Getting out toward Nantucket itself, a lot of bonito around Nantucket right now. And fluking has been really good out on the shoals, but you've got a lot of sea bass to contend with out there, and obviously sea bass are off limits right now. They're not in season, so you're going to have to weed through a lot of releases to find the fluke, but there are some good fluke out there to be had. The best albie fishing we're seeing anywhere in our region, probably anywhere on the coast, is central Nantucket Sound, on the western end of central Nantucket Sound, I should say. These fish are a few miles out, no matter where you shove off from, whether you're leaving the vineyard, Nantucket, or the mainland. You're going to have to cover some water before you find the fish, but these fish are big. A lot of these fish are 10 to 15 pounds, with a few pushing up into the 18-pound class, and there's a lot of fish when you find them. So if you're looking for that, to scratch that albie itch, you're going to have to cover some water, but you may find the biggest one you've ever caught in your life. So pretty cool thing going on now out there. A lot of bonito on the Nantucket side, a lot of bonito on the Martha's Vineyard side. My buddy's out at the vineyard right now. He said the bonito fishing off the beach has been insane. He's been doing it with pink epoxy jigs, and when the fish are a little closer, he's been doing it with a fly rod using pink surf candies. So very good bonito fishing along the shores of the vineyard. And then when you get up along the mainland, we've got lots of bonito along there as well. We've got some Spanish mackerel mixing in and a minority of albies. There's a few schools of albies that are kind of cutting in and out over there, but it seems like the ones that were inshore have moved somewhere else, just not there in the numbers that they were weeks previous. So you know, I think a lot of us are just waiting for that next wave of albies, and it doesn't seem to want to come right now. Tuna guys have been talking about there being some albies south of the vineyard, more of these really big ones, so hopefully they're going to move inshore and sort of kick things off. But for right now, the albies that most guys are catching do not want to leave Nantucket Sound. Pushing through the islands into Buzzards Bay, we've got really good bottom fishing for scup. We've got some tog being caught out there. You get up toward the canal, no albies. It's been a few bonito pushing through in there. And the canal has had many waves of fish over the last week. Some of them have pushed through the canal and made it out into the west end, which has made the striper fishing sort of up and down, but there's been some good opportunity out there. Inside the canal, it's been good. It's been good all last week. We've seen that spill over into this week for the night guys jigging and throwing eels. And for a little bit more on all that, let's toss it over now to East End Eddie.
Hi Dave, another beautiful morning here in the world famous Cape Cod Canal. We got a west ebb tide behind me that's going to turn slack pretty soon. Most of the fish caught recently have been fat. The fish are eating as much as they can and fattening up for their journey south and the migration. And a lot of anglers did well with slots or better. Jack Gagnon, John Doble, Sage Nicholson all did well. Rob Fish Sticks Pisa was using a diamond jig on the bottom when the fish started breaking right in front of him. So he didn't have time to switch over to a pencil, so he threw his diamond jig in front of the school and reeled in a nice fat 33-inch. And Bill Slots Walsh and Slapshot Scotty Ewell also did well. Vinny the Patriot Rosada caught a 36-inch. And so Tim Hollywood Petraka and Paulie the Painter Gravina were fishing together. A couple of boys of summer, they fished together a lot. They were good for almost 20 fish together, up to 35 inches. And Joe Green Gloves Monahan caught 2 37 inches and 1 38-inch. Green Gloves was using one of his custom pencils and also a white bucktail. So things have been good. And some of the hot lures this week have been the Bill Hurley White Canal Killer, white striped gear rocket, the Al Gags Green Mac jig, and the Uzuri twitch bait. And so my tip of the week is that you know, if you're going to take a break, before you put your pole in a slot in the rocks there, you know, before you sit down and take a break for your back or for whatever reason, make sure that your gear is ready to go in case the fish start breaking. Put your lure at the proper distance from the tip of the rod and make sure there's no seaweed on it. I saw a guy the other day, went to sit down and take a break, and there's so much seaweed on his lure, I couldn't believe it. So if the fish started breaking right then, he would have had to spend time taking the seaweed off. So just be prepared for whatever's about to happen. Until next week, catch a big one.
Heading out into western Buzzards Bay, a lot of bonito in western Buzzards Bay, not really any albies to speak of. Striped bass activity is really starting to perk up though. We're seeing a lot of the mullet leaving the rivers now. We're seeing some of those fish heading into the rivers to intercept the mullet and the peanut bunker and other baits that are in there. A lot more fish out front as well. I was fishing some of the rivers over the last few days. I've seen mullet leaving in big schools, you know, hundreds of mullet and at a time, just heading out 6-7 inch long baits, which is a, you know, prime size for any size striped bass. So striped bass fishing is definitely kicking into gear right now, as it should. Here we are in the first third of September. We're also seeing good togging all throughout the Westport and moving over into Rhode Island areas. And then, you know, heading offshore out toward Coxes, you know, dodging the windmills and the offshore wind boats. There's been good cod fishing out there. We've seen fish in the like 6 to 20 pound class, and the bite by all accounts has been quite good. So a lot of opportunity in the western part of Buzzards Bay and heading offshore from there. Moving over to Rhode Island, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Steve. Hey guys, got a quick report for the East Bay area, heading into Mount Hope a little bit. I gotta say, it's kind of like this transition period right now where like it'll get hot and then it'll slow down and it'll get hot again. And I gotta tell you, there's bait everywhere in the bay. There's bait coming out of all these rivers. We're going to start seeing mullet out there now to add to all that stuff. And it's just going to be an all-out fiasco. If you go out towards the ocean side, it's kind of like that now. But all this bait has to come out of these rivers and estuaries that's been, you know, pretty much a nursery in the East Bay, because you got the Warren River, you got 100 Acre Cove, Barrington River, you've got the Kickmute River, goes all the way up into Warren. You've got like Colesley's River that empty into Mount Hope Bay, which, you know, pretty much filters into Narragansett Bay up Sconnet River also, and it's on fire right now. So Warren and Barrington Rivers has still got small striped bass underneath the bridges. Nighttime is the right time for those. There's been some bluefish and some mediocre sized bass off of Colt State Park. Just look for the birds. There's lots of birds out there, more towards the Prudence Island side. There's also a lot of small bluefish, cocktail blues, inside of Bristol Harbor. So try, you know, start off at Papa Squash, work your way into Bristol Harbor, towards, you know, where the Coast Guard parks their boats over there. Don't go any further. I just haven't heard any reports of any, you know, bigger fish to catch. There are some small, real small skipjack blues way up inside next to that little inlet that goes into the freshwater there next to Cogsall Street. So if you like to catch the little small ones, you can go up in there. Mainly feeding on peanut bunker and small silver sides. So there's lots of opportunities. There are some bluefish, which I'm happy about, but there's also a lot of small bass around, and they're finicky and they're tricky to catch. So definitely you got to match the hatch. You know, try the 2, try the 3 inch, mix up your colors, you're bound to connect. So going forward, I think we see a lot of good things happening here with all this bait that's going to spill out into the bay. So look for some bigger schools of bluefish and bigger schools of striped bass to start marauding all that bait fish that's inside of the East Bay side now. Moving up towards the Sconnet, there are some bonitas still way up the top on the Little Compton side. I haven't seen any albies close to the Stone Bridge or inside of the Sconnet River yet, or heard any reports from anybody on those yet. So check back with us next week, and I think it might be the week. There's so much bait. So tight lines, and we'll catch you next week, guys.
And now the Dream Boat Fishing Challenge entries for the week. We had only one entry in from New England subscriber John Moria from Hudson, Massachusetts, with a porgy weighing in at 2.8 pounds at Red Top Sporting Goods, placing him second in the Scup division. The standings once again took a point dip for second and third. Scott Waterman with 17 points, Brian Zembreski with 12 points, Anthony Savino with 10 points. The full run is on, so fish hard. There's plenty of time to enter your fish to win a Steigercraft powered by Yamaha and many other great prizes, but you must be a Fisherman subscriber to enter.
In Rhode Island, everybody's obsessed with albies. Everyone I talk to asks me, hey, where are the albies? When are they coming in? You know, I don't know. But there are a few pods of albies in the area. But it's a hunt and peck thing. You know, you're gonna have to get lucky and get on one of these couple of roving schools. However, the bonito fishing right now is insane. It doesn't matter if you're fishing out front, you could be fishing Saconnet, you could be fishing Newport, you could be fishing Jamestown, you could be fishing Point Judith, you could be fishing the breachways. The bonito are everywhere. We're seeing mixed sizes from like 2 pounds up to 7 pounds, let's say, with the average being, you know, in the 3 to 4 pound range. Bite's been good on a variety of lures. Guys are getting them on epoxies and tins. Guys are getting them on albie snacks here and there, paddle tails. But the thing that's really getting it done are plastic swimmers, you know, hard-bodied swimmers in the like 4 to 5 inch size. SP minnows, hydro minnows, what's that one? X-Wraps have been crushing it. If you want my advice, downsize as much as you can. I've been using freshwater jerk baits. I like jerk baits because they're meant to be fished hard, so you can fish them really fast and they're not going to roll out. These fish aren't big enough to bend out your hooks for the in most cases. So, you know, I've been throwing the freshwater jerk baits and they've been working really, really well. Bright pink and chartreuse have been really effective, popular colors, but guys have been doing well on white and chrome as well. And we're seeing some Spanish mackerel mixing in. I've seen some really nice ones, fish up to like 25 inches, which has been really great to see. But we're all waiting for albies. They're just not showing up in any kind of numbers. And the guys that are getting on them are, you know, finding them once and then never seeing them again. So we're still waiting for the biomass of albies to move into Rhode Island waters. Heading offshore, tuna bite's been great. It's spread out a little bit, but the action hasn't really slowed down. Any one of those near shore tuna spots, as they call them, has got fish. And the jig's been working really well, and chunking has been working really well. Heading in back towards shore, the striped bass fishing has been really good. Whether you're fishing out in front of Newport and Jamestown or Narragansett, guys have been finding some really big fish in those areas, throwing eels, throwing the dock, and especially dragging the tube and worm around. Up inside the bay, there's lots of bait. And we're seeing lots of slot-sized stripers. We're seeing some smaller fish. We're seeing some fish up to 40 inches. Just a really good mix of sizes of stripers. And that extends, you know, really from Newport all the way around Jamestown out to Point Judith and even beyond that out along the breachways. So striped bass fishing has been good. Bluefish have been fairly scarce throughout most of the area. There's been a couple of big ones caught here and there. And togging is really starting to pick up as well. And we're hearing a lot of good news about sea bass also. For a little bit more on that, let's check in now with Captain John Lee from JL Charters.
Hey, it's John Lee, JL Charters, Point Judith, Rhode Island. The past couple of weeks, I've been mostly fishing for ground fish, anchoring up offshore a little bit in kind of 50 to 80 feet, targeting kind of a grab bag, codfish, sea bass, blackfish, big scup. And we've been having some good luck at it. Not every tide is a good one, but we have been able to develop chews. The fish start coming. You just soak crabs, send crabs down. And we've been getting some pretty good sized blackfish, fish to maybe 11 pounds. And some big sea bass, codfish to 30 inches. We're having a lot of fun with it. We got bonito rods, albacore rods ready to go if a school comes by the boat. I've done a few bluefin trips, just kind of joining the herd offshore. It still amazes me that those fish are in a 2 square mile area packed with sand eels, big sand eels. And the machine is just lit up with sand eels. It's unbelievable. Tons of white-sided dolphins, minke whales, just a couple of humpbacks. Some overs have shown up the past couple of weeks, and I think that's what everyone is most eager to catch. You're going to start seeing more chunks, and guys still will jig, but I think the chunk bite's going to become a thing to consider. Anyway, hope all is well. Take care.
And then heading up along the South County beaches, like I said, we've got a lot of bonito, we've got a lot of stripers in the area. There's chub mackerel around in big numbers. Guys have been catching those on little tiny flies or little tiny tins. And I think fluke's overachieving for this sort of the last stage of the season. It hasn't been like off the charts, but it's been good. And guys are still finding some solid fish, and they're getting some sea bass mixing in with those. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Crossing over into Connecticut now, the biggest news of the week is that the race sort of had a resurgence. So those fish left for a week, whatever happened there. I don't know if it's a new body of fish that moved in now, but the big blues are back. There's all mixed sizes of stripers. There's a lot of bait in there, and guys are cashing in on a good bite again. So that is still something that you guys can get in on, and you know, it seems to have picked up right where it left off. It's been really good scup fishing along with striped bass activity outside the Thames River, so that's another place you can focus on. The kayak guys have been crushing it there. Go up along the beaches down toward Nantucket Bay, a lot of striped bass activity in that area, inside the bay, outside the bay, and out on the reefs. Mixed sizes, you know, a lot of fish in that around the slot size, you know, say 26 to 36 inches, you know, with some slot fish in the middle. There's been some much bigger fish here and there, especially for the guys throwing live bait. And in the mornings, we're seeing some blitz activity on the reefs, which has been really fun for the boat guys, the kayak guys, just going out there throwing poppers or whatever and cashing in on some fast action. Getting up toward the Connecticut River, there's been some larger fish in that region as well, especially for the live bait guys. And for a little bit more on that, let's toss it over now to Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey, what's up everybody? For this week's fishing forecast, weather has been really beautiful, and I think as a result of that, the fish are holding in their summer pattern. We're not quite seeing the fall blitzes yet, but I'm expecting that to start probably next week after the moon, and once we get some cooler temperatures, I think that will blow wide open. The bait will start to drop out of the estuaries, and that should really get everything fired up. Have seen some chub mackerel, a few albies here and there, some reports of bonito as well, but they're still pretty thin at the moment. Hopefully that will all change within the next week. Good news is the big bass fishing remains steady. There's still plenty of big stripers around. Not many blues around. You might catch a good tide here and there. The bottom fishing is good. The bottom has a ton of sea bass and porgies. So if you go out to a hump with squid, you're definitely going to catch some bottom fish. Good luck, and we'll talk to you next week.
Head up the river now and check in with Rowan Lytle.
Hello everybody. So major nighttime cooling trend here. Definitely significantly impacting the Connecticut River. The tributaries are dropping down into the 60s, which is fantastic for the trout fishing. Anticipate whatever holdover fish are around and any of the TMAs to get fired up, and for the state to start stocking some of those tributaries soon. Which is also good news for any of those larger tributaries that still have some big bass and pike around. Expect them to be looking for those freshly stocked trout. The warm water species pushing up into those tributaries and into the backwaters, the bite will slow down a little bit. Anticipate the bass pushing down into the river, kind of finding deeper holes. On days where you have a nice temperature equalization, especially in the main stem of the river, there should be some really good topwater activity still, but those fish will kind of concentrate themselves and be a little less well distributed with the cooler temperatures incoming. I've noticed a pretty significant move out of channel catfish and carp in some of the tribs and backwaters. They've started to push into the deeper water already. Still very good fishing for them, but they're not in the same places they were most of the summer. So we're definitely in that transitional time. The good thing is that's definitely going to kick on the pike. That should kick on some of the striper and bluefish action in the mouth of the river, as bait starts to move around. So, anticipate some pickup, some increase in activity in some regards and a decrease in others as we go through this transitional early fall kind of change here. But lovely looking weather through the week. The fishing should be great on the Connecticut this weekend, so get out there and enjoy it.
And now we'll head out of the river, take a quick right, and we'll check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. Definitely a transitional kind of time right now. Had some slower striper reports. It's kind of tough to figure out whether you should be kind of eyeballing birds and bait or whether you should still be fishing summer style. For me, I would definitely start summer style, looking for current, structure, depth change, kind of those checklist items. And still early and late, getting started around midday, regardless of tide, it's going to be a little tougher this time of year than it would be in the morning or the evening. Top water has been good. Guys are still doing a lot of eels. We're going through a lot of eels at the shop, so those are still working. Trolling is good this time of year if you're not super sure where the fish are. Troll an X-Wrap, an SP Minnow, a tube, anything like that. Sea bass and fluke going strong still. A lot of guys going out. Really beautiful weather out there, so you can kind of get wherever you want to go. Good drifts, things like that. Porgies have been really good. Folks doing well in tight to shore. A couple folks headed out in a kayak from the shop yesterday and got a bunch of them just kind of right out the mouth of our creek. So they're definitely around pretty heavily. Whispers of hardtails in the area. Bonito right now, mainly in the Connecticut shoreline area, but definitely those albies creeping in a little closer and a little closer. With the stability of the weather we have, I think it could be kind of an any tide type of thing at this point. So I am waiting eagerly, along with many of you, for that first sight of those albies ripping through our local waters. It should definitely happen soon. For now, enjoy this beautiful September weather. I don't know if you remember last year, September was rough with a ton of rainstorms. So this is gorgeous, about as good as it gets. Soak up those days of September.
In the western half of the Central Sound, not much has changed. Porgy fishing's been really good. We've got a lot of slot-sized striped bass in the area, or around the slot, I should say. A lot of guys doing it with diamond jigs, a lot of guys doing it with butterfly jigs. We're seeing some top water action, first and last light. Middle ground has had a lot of fish. You get out more toward Milford and New Haven, and we're starting to see more fall blitz activity. There's been a lot of bait moving out of the rivers, out of the Housatonic, out of New Haven Harbor, out of the Quinnipiac, out of all these lesser rivers and inlets out there, and that has really picked up the striped bass bite. There's been some bluefish of small to medium size in the mix out there as well, and that extends all the way out to Norwalk. Max is not able to shoot a video this week, but he gave me a few details. So they've been seeing that same blitz activity along the beaches like Calf Pasture and heading out toward Sherwood Island. And then the boat and kayak guys have been finding those fish up in the islands, just throwing in, especially at first or last light, throwing spooks, poppers, pencils, paddle tails up into those rocks and just cranking them out, finding all mixed sizes of striped bass in there, and they get bigger the darker it is. And then when you get out to like 28C and 11B, you're going to diamond jig up some good stripers. You're going to find some, a small number, but some nice sized bluefish in the mix. And then they're seeing some fluke and some sea bass at around Can 26 as well. And that's what I have for you guys in Connecticut this week. And that's what I have for you guys really in the entire region for the week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you guys to get out there. Everyone's waiting for the albies, and that includes me. I don't have the means to get out to the Cape all the time. So I'm doing a lot more listening than I am fishing as far as albies go. Hopefully, in this next week, we got much more stable weather, and hopefully that's going to encourage these fish to make a move and come inshore along the Cape, along Buzzards Bay, into Rhode Island, and then eventually crossing into Connecticut. But, we're all just in sort of a wait-and-see pattern right now. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You're going to get a full taste of what we offer. We've got 12 issues every year. They're going to be paper magazines that come to your mailbox. It's going to cost you $29.95 to get that. Plus, you're going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email every day during the fishing seasons from April to November. You're also going to get digital access to all the back issues. You're going to get digital access to our other editions. For $30, you can't go wrong, $29.95. But if you go to our website and you're still not interested, which would be hard to believe, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.